Sunday, June 7th, 1903. I conducted one of the most important experiments in modern science. But what made it so revolutionary? Yes, like most of my experiments at Wardenclyffe, this one was also about wireless power transmission. However, that didn't make it unique. Independence was the groundbreaking benefit. All one needed was a single device that a person could carry on themselves. No more depending on awkward infrastructure. I just had a few final tweaks to make before I could test my new method of wireless power transfer. Wednesday, September 15th, 1902. I'll never forget the events of that day. I was sitting in the lounge of my new factory, preparing for an important meeting. A meeting that would ensure my financial stability for years to come. Just a few hours later, I was to make a presentation on Wall Street at the headquarters of a company which symbolized wealth throughout the U.S. and across the ocean. The man about to receive me was J.P. Morgan, one of the most powerful men in the capitalist world, a successful banker, and my new project's investor. Nobody else was willing to provide such a large sum. Only he believed that by combining my genius and his money, could we revolutionize radio technology. And today, it was time to take our collaboration to the next level. I was sure he would love my proposal. Our meeting was supposed to be about I don't think our meeting had anything to do with lightning. Wardenclyffe was the ambitious project he helped me fund. Our meeting must have been related to it. It certainly wasn't a friendly visit. Every meeting with this man was very difficult. Yes, I'm sure I've come up with an amended proposal. But Mr. Morgan is just an investor. I'm the inventor. I'm the one who sets the direction of the entire project. And I know we can do better. My presentation was flawless. I spoke to the point and mentioned all the important facts. Electricity for everyone at no additional cost. I was convinced that success was guaranteed. That's why I was taken aback when I saw the investor's face turn confused, and his confusion gradually grew into anger. My sudden changes to the project and the needed financing apparently took him by surprise. I begged him to let me explain everything, but that only made the situation worse. "I did listen to you. It's you who doesn't listen," he shouted at me. I tried to explain how wireless power could completely change the world, but it was no use. The whole room was filled by a single emotion. Desperation came over me. It was obvious that Morgan was just another self-centered big shot. J.P. Morgan visibly relaxed and continued calmly. "You treat money as a certainty, but you are not in a position to afford to do that. Finish the radio technology, give me something we can make money on. I'll be happy to fund your further research, but you have to show me more than empty promises." Others warned me that Morgan was only interested in money. I lost his interest as soon as he learned that my invention was to help the whole world, not just his wallet. Then this is all for nothing. Why did I expect there to be any sense in talking to you? I will see my vision through, with or without your help. In reality, however, despair consumed me. This was the end of our collaboration. This was the end of Wardenclyffe. With tears in my eyes, I swept the damn model down. Emotion. I didn't understand where all his anger came from. What made the man react with such vile aggression? J.P. Morgan's anger grew. "You treat money like something you can just ignore, which you definitely can't afford to do in your situation. I haven't seen a smidgen of a completed product from you yet. Finish the radio technology, give me something I can sell. You have to finally show more than empty promises." By the end of his monologue, he was virtually screaming. I knew our meeting was coming to an end. Others warned me that Morgan was only interested in money. I had hoped our meeting wouldn't be a waste of time, but apparently I was wrong. "Never mind, I'll manage on my own. I always do." That ultimately infuriated him. "Enough! Get out at once and take this piece of junk with you," he screamed, and with a beastly vigor swept my model off the desk. Sunday, March 18th, 1900. I went to the lounge of the Hotel Belclair to get a little bit of peace. I know Sam means well, but these social events are incredibly exhausting. I can almost hear him. "Can't you see how many came just for you? So many stories tied up in one moment. In the future, one of them might get entangled with yours." That's the famous Mark Twain. He convinced a few useless rich people to consider investing in my next project, and still managed to see something poetic about it. And this wasn't the first time Samuel Clemens helped me. I was barely on the cusp of adulthood, and my father, despite my protests, insisted that I become a parish priest like him. But God had other plans. I found myself on my deathbed. My doctor gave me months to live, and all hope escaped me. But one day, a book fell into my lap. It was outstanding. It completely absorbed me and kept me in bed even more than my illness, which I had completely forgotten about. They were early works of Mark Twain, and to them I attribute my miraculous recovery. When my father saw how narrowly I had escaped death, he agreed to let me decide my future career. So I headed west to study engineering. 20 years later, I met Sam in person for the first time. As I told him my story, I saw the otherwise jovial man shed a heartful tear. Suddenly, I was snapped out of my daydream. A friendly, "Howdy, Nicola," came from behind me, and an ornate wooden cube landed on the table in front. "With the help of a skilled carpenter, I prepared a gift for you, just for this occasion," Sam continued. "I wonder if you can guess what it is." What was it that Sam brought me? The mischievous grin on his face said it all. He definitely had something in store to tease my brain cells. Inside was Samuel's yet unpublished book. I knew it would be another amazing experience. I couldn't have asked for a better gift. But I didn't have time to rejoice for long. Sam smiled, pulled his watch out of his breast pocket, and exclaimed, "It worked out beautifully. It's almost time." At first, I didn't understand what he meant. But when I looked at him, I began to suspect some trickery. There was a knock, followed by a smug chuckle. "Like a Swiss watch," my friend added. He planned it well. He kept me entertained long enough for me not to wriggle my way out of it. And now it was too late. I had to try and make a good first impression. The woman who entered was introduced as Rose Kelly, a representative of an interested investor. She was courteous and spoke politely. Unlike other investors, she knew not just my name, but also the details of my previous projects. We talked about Colorado Springs and my Wardenclyffe plans. I asked what I should expect from the investor she represented. Do they know my work as well as she does? She assured me that she and her fiancé fully supported my world vision, free energy available to everyone, and a global communication network. Fiancé? That made sense, but why hadn't she told me his name? I had no option but to cut to the chase. "Mrs. Kelly, what is the name of your fiancé?" She hesitated, smiled timidly, and looked me straight in the eye. "Alistair Crowley," she said in a weak voice, as if she already knew my reaction. At that moment, just one thought took over my mind. Alistair Crowley was... I knew enough about the man. To associate my name with his would cost me the trust of the scientific community. But it wasn't his fiancé's fault. I suppressed my rising indignation and replied calmly. "Mrs. Kelly, I very much appreciate your interest and your offer. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I will certainly let you know. But for now, I need some time to think." Perhaps it sounded colder than I intended, because she just sadly nodded her head and left the lounge with a farewell. Samuel looked at me with a questioning expression. I had to explain it to him. "You've never heard of Crowley? He tells people tales of demons, magic, and other worlds. A charlatan. the nonsense people like him put out makes the work of all scientists and inventors that much harder. Samuel pondered and replied, "My friend, wouldn't it be better to give him a chance? You know your financial situation. Besides, don't you think it might be good if someone like that helped an inventor for once?" I shook my head. I appreciated his good intentions, but my principles were always important to me, and on that day, I chose to follow them. He's a liar and a fool. He tells fairy tales about demons, magic, and other worlds. I knew it wasn't her fault, but I couldn't contain myself. I was offended that someone like this thought they could fund me. Such insolence! "Crowley," I blurted out. "Unfortunately, I know very well who you mean. The nonsense that people like him put out into the public makes the work of all scientists and inventors that much harder, whether in education or trying to find sponsors. I hate to break it to you, but your husband-to-be is a fraud." Rose didn't look surprised, but certainly not pleased by my words either. "I understand your resentment, but please think the matter over in peace. My fiancé doesn't take rejection kindly." It sounded nearly threatening, but I picked up on the desperation in her voice. I looked at Samuel and sadly shook my head. It was clear we weren't going to make a deal. The click of the door and my friend's slightly disappointed face only confirmed it. Monday, January 4th, 1904. I was just working on the security system for the future Radio City complex. The new security board was supposed to connect to sensors on the doors and other places, and also to a photo trap I had set up at the very top of the tower. But there was still one part missing. I wanted to... I had a special collection of my favorite inventions at the top of the tower. Ensuring their safety was my priority. The day was quiet, and I was finally able to focus on the important part of my job. But suddenly, an intruder appeared in my lab. The power of the heavens in the hands of one man. How does it feel to know that you can just reach out and you never have to hear me speak again? Aleister Crowley. His crude voice interrupted my train of thought. "What do you want here? I have work to do. I don't want your insights or money," I snapped. He started on another one of his tedious tirades about how I have no money or allies, that I'll never finish my work on my own, and that he's the only one who can help me. I told him what I thought of it, not holding much back. He answered, "I understand, Mr. Tesla," which was probably the most polite I've ever heard him. The sound of receding footsteps made me think there was no reason to dwell on it any further. "I need to add a lock to that door," I muttered to myself. "Are you trying to keep someone out?" His annoying, sleazy voice suddenly echoed close to my ear. "You don't believe that heresy stuff, do you? The conscience of Christians is so dirty that Whoever studies the words of anyone other than their God must be a heretic. After all, it's not that long since scientists have been graciously allowed to study our world without the threat of a burning stake. In some ways, I had to agree with him. The church and science shared a history of turmoil. But the general hatred of all Christians was too much. After all, they made up 97% of the American population. I invent to benefit mankind as a whole, not a select few, I told him. In this, Crowley and Morgan were exactly the same. Crowley hurried on as if I had fallen right into his trap. Ordinary morality is only for ordinary people, and you're definitely not that. But you can be sure that most of the people you're talking about would gladly trade their God for a lifetime supply of free electricity. And you could give it to them. You could be their hero, or you'll end up finished and forgotten like so many others. I've had enough of him. No, it's you and I that are finished. What annoyed me more than his words was seeing him play with a device that he didn't understand. Without a Faraday cage, it was a very dangerous experiment. You're a nasty, selfish, arrogant fool. Now be so kind and leave the premises of my laboratory. With pleasure, he replied smugly. But it wasn't until the door slammed behind him that I noticed he hadn't left empty-handed. He distracted me by powering the ground floor coils. Then, he took my notes on the signals I had picked up from space in Colorado Springs. A trick worthy of a fairground magician. But I don't think he'll have any use for them. Saturday, August 26th, 1905. I was just working on one of my most interesting projects. However, melancholy was still taking hold of me. Money was running out fast, and the chances of getting a new sponsor were disappearing month by month. The Automaton project was a long journey. I had been working on it on and off for years. But there was one specific problem I still couldn't solve. Yes, reason was a real stumbling block. The human brain was completely under-researched for me to simply replicate. Perhaps a set of rules telling the automaton how to behave in various situations would have been enough. A loud knock. Of course, another interruption. What was the point of building an out-of-town lab when I had to chase uninvited visitors out on a daily basis? Rose Crowley? I said in surprise. When the devil can't reach you, he sends a woman. I really wasn't in the mood for anyone in the Crowley family, but better Rose than Alistair. She was reluctant to speak for a moment when a girl, 5 years old at most, peeked out from behind her skirt. Taking children into an electrified laboratory was not something I'd expect from a responsible parent. But it wasn't my problem. My problem was the constant distractions. "Can I help you?" I asked. After all, the sooner we figured out why she came, the sooner I could get back to work. My words seemed to wake her up, and she nodded her head and looked at the girl. "This is my daughter, Lola," she said, and after another short pause, continued. "I came to warn you about my husband." She noticed my confused look and elaborated. Alistair is a formidable man, but it seems to me that sometimes he lets things get out of hand. He can't do anything in moderation, and he doesn't understand that some social rules are there for a reason. She looked really tired, almost desperate. Maybe Crowley didn't even know she came here. But what did she want from me? Advice? Rose, as you can see, I'm very busy and don't have time to give you my full attention. I also don't have time to help you raise your daughter. Please get to the point. What can I do for you? I tried to sound kind, but my patience was slowly running out. I had more important issues. She took her time before responding, but in the end, I was still disappointed. She sounded like her husband sent her after all. And what did she tell me? Nonsensical drivel. Crowley supposedly claimed that the radio signals I picked up from the surface of Mars a few years ago actually came from another dimension, and he wanted to respond. I barely swallowed a remark about alcohol, drugs, and their apparent influence on her husband's judgment. The despair on Rose's face turned almost into panic. My husband can be dangerous, especially if you don't do as he pleases. But he can still save your project. He's got plenty of money, and he's not afraid to spend it. And he wants little in return. She urged me not to let male pride get in the way of my grand visions. But that was the last straw. Who do you think you are anyway? I snapped. There are thousands of rich men like him, but my inventions are one of a kind. I'm the one people will remember from the warmth of their electrically heated homes. Rose looked like she wanted to say something more, to try to change my mind, but she knew as well as I that it was no use. She gave me one last resigned look and turned to her daughter. Come on, Lola. We have to go now, or Daddy will be angry. Lola turned and waved cheerfully on her way out, but I think her greeting was directed at my inventions rather than me. When they both left, I finally had some peace for my work. Tuesday, May 2nd, 1893. The moment of triumph of alternating current over direct current was approaching. Thanks to my invention, Westinghouse had won a huge contract to electrify the world's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. I just had to connect the circuits to the central lever and ensure everything worked properly. Why was it so important to connect everything under one switch? Thanks to an elaborate fuse system, I knew I didn't have to worry about safety. It was practical to trigger everything with one lever pull, but the main motivation was elsewhere. Yes, I wanted to make a spectacular impression on all visitors and show the power of electricity at its best. 3 days later, the mayor of Chicago could light up the entire White City in a single motion. Saturday, May 6th, 1893. I was busy at the Chicago Expo and got notified that the electricity went out in one of Max Hertz's exhibits. From the description, it must have been a blown fuse. Before I set out, I was once again filled with wonder at the magnificence of the exhibits and their numbers. But where was I going? This monumental attraction didn't need electricity, but maybe one day. At the next World Expo, visitors might be able to look down in astonishment from the electrically powered Tesla wheel. Yes, in one of the tombs, transported piece by piece directly from Luxor, the lights suddenly stopped working. The darkness of the space certainly contributed to the atmosphere, as I could now judge for myself, but I was glad to have spare fuses with me. A sudden sound alerted me that I wasn't alone. I saw a cloaked figure move quickly towards the door. Who could it be? Did I just catch a thief? At last, the uncomfortable reality dawned on me. The mystery man was going to trap me inside. There was no point in hiding any longer, so I headed for the exit. Before I could get through, a heavy stone gate blocked my way. All I could hear on the other side were retreating footsteps and muffled laughter. But what could I do? I looked around the room, but unfortunately, it had no other exits. I had to find another way to open the gate. After all, who knows if it was even possible to rescue me from the other side?